Have you ever had the feeling that someone close to you is constantly draining your energy, manipulating your emotions, but you can't pinpoint exactly what's wrong? Or perhaps you've noticed that no matter how hard you try, this person never seems satisfied, and somehow you always end up being the one to blame for the problems? If this sounds familiar, you may be dealing with a narcissist. Narcissists don't come with a label, but their behaviors leave deep scars and, over time, can undermine your self-esteem, your peace of mind, and even your worldview. They are masters of manipulation, playing with your emotions and distorting reality. What scares you the most? They are often so close that it can be difficult to see them. In this video, I'm going to show you 8 surefire signs to identify if you have a narcissist in your life, and how these behaviors may be affecting you in ways you can't even imagine. Stay until the end, because recognizing these signs could be the first step towards regaining your peace and emotional freedom. They put themselves at the center of everything. One of the most obvious characteristics of a narcissist is their constant need to be the center of attention. For these people, life revolves around them, and everything that happens must serve their interests and desires. If you know someone who always redirects the conversation towards themselves, ignores the feelings of others, or tries to dominate any social environment, you may be dealing with a narcissist. This behavior often manifests itself subtly at first, but over time it becomes more and more obvious. The narcissist appropriates other people's moments of success, minimizing their achievements, and may even devalue important events in the lives of their friends or partners. The feeling is that, whatever the situation, everything must come back to them. Conversations with a narcissist are often one-sided. You may notice that when you try to share something personal or express your emotions, the narcissist quickly shifts the focus to themselves. Their achievements, problems, or opinions will always have more value. This pattern of behavior not only devalues other people's feelings, but also creates an environment where the other person is constantly silenced or ignored. How does this affect relationships? Living with someone who has this insatiable need for attention can be extremely stressful. Little by little, you may notice that your own emotional needs take a back seat. This creates a cycle of frustration and dissatisfaction, because the narcissist is unwilling to offer reciprocity. The result is a toxic relationship in which one of the parties is always giving more than they receive. It's important to recognize these signs early on to avoid further emotional strain. Understanding that the narcissist will never be completely available for your needs is fundamental to protecting your mental health. Once you notice this pattern, you can start to set limits and prevent this dynamic from damaging your self-esteem. Lack of genuine empathy. If there's one thing that sets narcissists apart from other people, it's their inability to feel genuine empathy. They may feign concern or interest when it suits them, but in reality they are unable to truly connect with the emotions of others. This lack of empathy creates shallow and unbalanced relationships, where the feelings of others are rarely taken into account. For the narcissist, the emotions of others are tools that they can use to their advantage. Instead of offering support or understanding, they manipulate these emotions to achieve their own goals. When confronted with someone else's suffering or joy, the narcissist reacts superficially, because their only concern is how that situation might affect them directly. In everyday life, this manifests itself in situations where the narcissist ignores or devalues the emotions of those around them. If a friend or partner expresses sadness or frustration, the narcissist quickly shifts the focus of the conversation to themselves, or even criticizes the person for being too sensitive. This behavior is extremely damaging, as it creates an environment where emotions are constantly invalidated. The lack of empathy when living with a narcissist is devastating for the emotions of those around them. The person living alongside a narcissist may begin to doubt their own feelings or even avoid expressing them for fear of being devalued. This leads to a relationship where there is no room for vulnerability and mutual support. Recognizing the absence of empathy is essential for setting clear boundaries. It's important to understand that the ability to offer and receive empathy is fundamental to any healthy relationship. If you constantly feel ignored or undervalued, it's time to reevaluate the relationship and consider whether it's worth continuing to invest in it. They feed on praise and admiration. The narcissist lives to be admired. They incessantly seek external validation and do everything they can to ensure that their ego is fed with praise and recognition. However, this constant need for approval can quickly turn into something suffocating for those around them. A narcissistic person doesn't accept criticism, no matter how small. Any attempt to point out a flaw or offer constructive feedback is seen as a personal attack. In these situations, the narcissist reacts with aggression, sarcasm, or even contempt, in an attempt to divert attention from their own insecurity. Instead of acknowledging their mistakes, they prefer to blame others or manipulate the situation to make themselves look like the victim. This dynamic creates a tense environment where the people around the narcissist feel like they're always walking on eggshells. They feel obliged to constantly nurture the narcissist's ego, fearing an explosive reaction if they don't. The relationship, which should be one of exchange, becomes one-sided, with one party always offering more than they receive. The narcissist's need for admiration not only emotionally drains those around them, but also prevents personal growth for both parties. A healthy relationship requires a balanced exchange of support and recognition. However, with the narcissist, this exchange never happens fairly. By recognizing this pattern, you can begin to distance yourself emotionally and set clear boundaries to protect your own self-esteem. Subtle manipulation and mind games. Narcissists are true masters of the art of manipulation. They use subtle tactics to confuse those around them, often making victims question their own reality. This behavior, known as gaslighting, involves distorting information and manipulating emotions, leading the person to doubt themselves and their sanity. In everyday life, manipulation manifests itself in small words that seem harmless, but have a corrosive effect over time. The narcissist can shift the blame onto you, saying that you're exaggerating or that you're too sensitive. This technique not only creates confusion, but also emotional dependency, where the victim feels insecure and powerless over their own decisions. Through mind games, the narcissist seeks to control the narrative, making you feel that you are responsible for their problems. This dynamic damages not only your self-esteem, but also your ability to make healthy and authentic decisions. Identifying subtle manipulation is crucial to protecting yourself emotionally. Awareness of this behavior allows you to start challenging these distortions, establishing your own sense of reality. Remember, you have the right to feel your emotions and to be heard. If a person constantly makes you doubt yourself, it's time to evaluate the impact this has on your life. Inability to accept responsibility. A narcissist's defining trait is their inability to take responsibility for their actions. When faced with a difficult situation or a mistake made, the narcissist will always find a way to shift the blame onto others. They may use tactics of deflection or distortion of facts to present themselves as the victim, while those around them are placed in the position of the villain. This lack of responsibility is particularly stressful in relationships where issues are often left aside or ignored. Instead of discussing and resolving conflicts in a healthy way, the narcissist prefers to create an environment of hostility where others are blamed for their own failings. Over time, this can make you feel that any problems are not worth bringing up. This dynamic not only undermines communication, but also breeds resentment, as you can feel trapped in a cycle of excuses and unresolved conflicts. It's vital to recognize that the inability to accept responsibility is a clear sign of narcissism. To protect your emotional well-being, it is essential to set boundaries and understand that it is not your responsibility to correct or justify someone else's mistakes. Healthy communication requires that both parties are willing to accept their faults and work together to find solutions. Fascination with status and power. Narcissists often have an obsession with status, power, and appearance. They seek to be in prominent positions and are attracted to environments where they can shine. This search for recognition can lead them to enter into relationships with people they consider to be beneficial to their image or social position. The narcissist measures the value of relationships based on what the other person can offer. If someone doesn't fit their criteria of status or power, they can quickly discard them. The narcissist's interest in a relationship is linked more to what they can gain than to any real emotional connection. This dynamic creates an environment where superficiality reigns. By surrounding themselves with people who are only there to feed their ego, the narcissist ends up creating a bubble of validation, but at the same time distances themselves from meaningful and authentic relationships. Recognizing this incessant search for status and power is essential to protecting yourself from one-sided relationships. You deserve to be surrounded by people who value you for who you are, not for what you can provide. Healthy relationships are based on mutual respect and genuine support, not superficial competition for status. Emotional exploitation. Narcissists tend to exploit the emotions of others in order to achieve their own goals. They have an uncanny ability to identify vulnerabilities and use them as tools for manipulation. For example, they can use someone's emotional vulnerability to gain favors or to control the situation in their favor. This behavior becomes even more complex when the narcissist presents themselves as someone who is there to help or support. However, this help often comes at a price, which is emotional manipulation. The victim may feel obliged to repay what has been done, even if it means sacrificing their own feelings or needs. This dynamic of exploitation not only wears the victim down emotionally, but also prevents them from recognizing their own limits. The narcissist creates a cycle of dependency, where the victim feels they can't live without the narcissist's approval or help. Recognizing emotional exploitation is crucial to regaining control over your life. Setting boundaries and learning to say no without guilt is a vital step in freeing yourself from this toxic dynamic. Self-confidence is strengthened when you begin to prioritize your needs and refuse to submit to relationships that exploit your vulnerabilities. They create a distorted reality. One of the most dangerous signs of a narcissist is their ability to create a distorted reality. They use lies, omissions, and manipulation to make you question your own perception, and in extreme cases, your own sanity. This behavior is insidious and can lead the victim to believe that their experiences are unrealistic or exaggerated. The narcissist can often present themselves as the victim in situations where they are actually the aggressor. By reversing the roles, they control the narrative and create confusion. The effect of this is devastating. The victim not only begins to doubt themselves, but also finds themselves trapped in a cycle of self-questioning, where their emotions and experiences are constantly invalidated. This process of gaslighting is an extreme form of emotional control, and it can take years for victims to free themselves from this influence. Recognizing that someone is manipulating your reality is the first step towards regaining your sense of identity and autonomy. Understanding that you are not alone in this experience is vital for emotional recovery. Recognizing gaslighting and its manipulative tactics is a powerful step towards liberation. You deserve a healthy relationship where your perception is respected and your reality is validated. Identifying a narcissist can be challenging, but being aware of these 8 foolproof signs is crucial to protecting your emotional health. These behaviors not only drain your energy, but can also undermine your self-esteem and peace of mind. By recognizing these patterns, you can start to set healthy boundaries, protect yourself, and make room for more authentic and meaningful relationships. Remember, your voice and your emotions are valid. You deserve to be surrounded by people who respect and value who you are, not just what you can offer. By distancing yourself from narcissists, you take a fundamental step towards regaining your personal power and living a fuller, more authentic life. So, what did you think of these 8 surefire signs of a narcissist in your life? If you recognize yourself in any of these situations, or if you know someone who might be going through this, don't hesitate to share this video. Your voice is important. Subscribe to the channel for more content on personal development and philosophy, and activate the bell so you don't miss out on anything new. In the comments, share your experiences or your questions on this topic. Let's build a community together where everyone can feel safe and respected. Remember, you are not alone on this journey. Let's go together in search of healthier, more authentic relationships. See you in the next video.